By late spring, the presidential primaries were in full swing. Eugene McCarthy was more popular than ever with college students, like the thousands who cheered him at Berkeley.
Tumultuous welcome.
I think there are really three agencies of government that need to be somewhat altered. One is the Central Intelligence Agency. The second is the FBI. And the third are the draft boards under General Hershey.
McCarthy's supporters were suspicious of Robert Kennedy, who they regarded as an opportunist. But it was also clear that Kennedy was a more charismatic campaigner and was appealing to a broader coalition, not just students, but blue-collar workers, women, blacks, the poor. Kennedy himself was undergoing a dramatic political transformation. The man who was known as Ruthless, who had been a hawk on Vietnam, was now calling for peace and becoming an advocate for the dispossessed.
I think one thing that happened to him was that his brother was murdered. And I think that had a profound impact on him. I remember once he, on an airplane during the campaign, someone asked him, what's your position on the capital punishment? Some issue had come up. And he said, I'm against it. And whoever it was said to him, well, when you were at the Justice Department, that wasn't your position when you were Attorney General. And he said, well, then I hadn't read Camus. Well, what politician, first of all, reads Camus, and second, uses it as a reason for having changed a position?
Albert Camus, the French existentialist, had written about the rebel spirit. And the Kennedy campaign, though run by professionals, began to take on an anti-establishment character. In California, Kennedy made common cause with Cesar Chavez and his new farm workers union.
I share that more romantic version of the Kennedy story. But again, it's one of those stories in which we project our own fantasies and our own hopes.
The California primary was the showdown between Kennedy and McCarthy, the two candidates calling for radical change within the system, the two rebel spirits. On June 4th, it was Kennedy who emerged victorious. It was after midnight. The ballroom at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles was jammed, the heat stifling. But Kennedy was at his best.
What I think is quite clear is that we can work together in the last analysis, and that what has been going on within the United States over the period of the last 3 years, the divisions, the violence, the disenchantment with our society, the divisions, whether it's between blacks and whites, between the poor and the more affluent, or between age groups, or on the war in Vietnam, that we can start to work together. We are a great country, and a selfish country, and a compassionate country. And I intend to make that my basis for running and over the period of the next few months.
The anti-war movement, the reformers, now had a presidential candidate who might actually win.
The country wants to move in a different direction. We want to deal with our own problems within our own country, and we want peace in Vietnam.
The minute he finished, I turned and walked through this pantry area on my way to where the press conference would be held, and Kennedy was right behind me. And I heard the shots ring out, and I turned, and he was already down and bleeding badly, and the place went crazy. It was an absolute scene of bedlam. And after the whole scene was over and Kennedy was removed, a number of my colleagues, including a couple of burly photographers, broke down, put their heads down on this serving table and wept openly.
An extraordinary thing happened when Kennedy's body was transported by train to Washington for burial at Arlington National Cemetery. Thousands of people spontaneously appeared along the tracks in silent tribute.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't
I think an era ended with Robert Kennedy's death and Martin Luther King's. An era in which we could have accomplished great things working together, and doomed us for some time, and we may still be in that time, to be shattered and fragmented and something less than the people we could be.
And I think Jack Newfield said it best when he said, after that we became might-have-beens, a generation of might-have-beens.